就是我们1.5在一个 quarter 会有一个 theme video， 所以我们现在我们也要谢谢Nick 还有我们整个那个 audio video 的 team 在做这个 video， 其实很辛苦。那我们一起来看一下我们这个 quarter 的 video。
on this SAT. I told him, the result is 2,500, not enough for a year. We're going to lose weight anyway. My daughter is like that too. She only has 3.9 GPA. How is she ever gonna get into Harvard? I don't know what she thinks about it. 这么帅，好帅的啊！ Her mom is the one who's washing dishes. She must be in the kitchen. Thank you. Because I want to keep this kitchen clean for God. But I thought God is like wearing pretty clothes and sing songs on stage. Or like Sunday school teacher teaching everybody and everybody listens to you and they all know you. No, God made us all different. And there's no good jobs or bad jobs. And if everybody is on the stage singing, then nobody's in the kitchen and we'll have no food. Well, Jesus loves us very much and we love him too, right? Yeah. So when we love someone so much, we want to do anything and everything for that person. And it doesn't matter what we do, it's about what makes God happy. And I like to wash dishes for Jesus.
Thank you, audio video team, for that. Yeah, 我还是不要多讲好了。Okay. Hello, 大家, and welcome to Sunday. Welcome to 1.5. We're so glad you're here. We're so happy that you're here, sitting here with us and not watching the World Cup. Well, I'll try to keep it short. 我们今天呢, we're going to continue in our book of Matthew. Okay, so if you have a Bible, go ahead and take it out, or take out your iPad, or take out your cell phone, or if you need a Bible, go ahead and raise your hand. 后面的人会will lend you a Bible. So go ahead and open your Bibles to Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10. We're continuing in our study through the book of Matthew. Now, I'm really excited to be speaking today because we're going to talk about something actually so personal today. We're going to talk about something so intimate. It's actually probably more intimate than sex. It's very private. It's very personal. Okay, so we never talk about this at church, and some people even get offended if we talk about it. So go ahead and open up to Matthew chapter 10. If you don't have your Bible, that's okay. I have it projected, but we want everybody to have their own Bible. And as I speak today, the theme will develop, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Matthew chapter 10. Before we even go to Matthew chapter 10, right before chapter 10 is chapter 9, verse 37. And this is talking about Jesus. Then he, that is Jesus, said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few." Let me say it again. Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." So Jesus sees this whole crowd of people following, and they need people to go serve them. So Jesus' heart was broken, and so he said this. And immediately in chapter 10, verse 1 and 2, he says, and he called to him his 12 disciples, and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal every disease and every affliction. The names of the 12 apostles are these, and then he goes on naming them. So in chapter 9, his heart is broken for the people, and he sees there's a real need in the community. There's a real need with people. His heart is broken. In chapter 10, he sends his 12 disciples out. And you would note here that when he sent them out, he gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every disease and every affliction. Now, when was the last time you participated in casting out demons in Orange County? Some of us probably, I do believe that demon exists, but is that the predominant ministry here in Orange County? Hard. When was the last time that we lay our hands on somebody and heal their broken leg? In Orange County, it seems like that's more rare. Am I saying that doesn't happen? No. That happens. That is, demon possession happens. That is, people needing to be healed happens. But in Orange County, when I do college ministry, when I do high school ministry, rarely do I cast out demons. Rarely do I lay my hands on college people and try to heal them. So does that mean that we're not to do that? No. What I'm saying is, the devil is very smart. The devil might do that in North Africa, in third world countries. But the devil has a different scheme for us. The devil works differently. He tries to hurt us differently. Rather than having full-on demon possessions, he does something different to us. He attacks us in a very different way. And so Jesus sends the 12 out. And this problem that I think the devil was super smart. The devil actually attacks on this subject one of his 12 disciples, and one of them falls because of this issue. Continue with me. The names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, he's the leader of the bunch, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, and James son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, which is the writer of our text, James the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the zealot, and here is what we're going to focus on today, Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. 中文的翻译有这样子翻说，犹大卖耶稣的人。其实犹大是一个 very smart businessman， very smart。他看到耶稣已经没有任何用处了，他还可以把耶稣卖了，拿一笔钱，买一笔钱之后，那笔钱还被用来买一个地。Judas 很厉害的一个人。So today we're actually going to be digging into Judas' life. We're going to dig into Judas' life, and there's a spirit upon Judas that I think is the primary mode that the devil attacks us here in Orange County or in Southern California. He might not full-on demon possess us or attack us that way, cause us to lose control, cause us to hurt people, cause us to speak nonsense, but the devil attacks us the way that he attacks Judas. And Judas, following Jesus for 3.5 years, fell and lost to the devil and sold Jesus. So we're going to focus on Judas here today. And so there's a story. If you grew up in the church, you know this story. You heard it again and again. And out of this story, I want to present, there were 3 different types of spirits upon these 3 different people. Now, not in terms of demon possession spirit, but a spirit as in a spirit of attitude. An attitude upon these 3 people that affects all of us. If you want, you can flip to John 12, but if you don't, it's okay. I have everything projected. 6 days before Passover. So remember to focus on these 3 people: Martha, Mary, and Judas. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus therefore came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. So they gave a dinner for him there. Now keep in mind, Lazarus died. And Lazarus, the sibling, just Mary and Martha, right? So they throw a party for Jesus because Jesus had previously healed Lazarus from the dead, right? Raised him from the dead. Martha, so they gave a dinner for him there. Martha served. And Lazarus was the one of those reclining with him at the table. Now, let me ask you, what was Martha doing? Well, if you're going to throw a dinner party for Jesus, somebody needs to cook. Somebody needs to cook. It seems like this is not the only place in the Bible that talks about Martha being like this. Martha actually seems to love to cook and love to handle things, and sometimes we bash her for it, right? There's another passage in Luke 10. Now, as they went on their way, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha, this is before this dinner, okay? This is what happened before. And there was a woman named Martha, welcomed Jesus into her house, and she had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went up to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve all alone? 耶稣，你没有看到我 have to do everything. 然后 Mary is just there. I have to do everything. So Mary actually loves to do this. But the Lord rebuked her in the previous passages. Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about so many things. Your mind is so, you're so busy about so many things. You are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her. So this is previously. This is the first time Martha and Jesus met. So Martha was like this. 就是很喜欢 work and work and work, right? So the first spirit I want us to pay attention to is the spirit of pride and work. Because we're going to get to Judas, but pay attention to this first. Martha loves to work. She loves to take care of things. She loves to, it's almost like if I make enough things happen, Jesus will love me more. If I make enough things happen, if I accomplish more, if I make sure events happen, Jesus will love me more. It's 马大的心态. And for some of us, we're like Martha. 我们其实很多时候没有办法 focus on so many things. 我们就是没有办法好好听讲到 hope is not a workout. 没有办法好好的做事情，因为 we're so busy trying to fulfill obligations in that we think we can gain the approval of Jesus if we do as much as possible. 所以 the spirit of pride and work. Now, pay attention to the second spirit. Well, I'm going to skip Mary a little bit and then we'll come back to Mary. Mary therefore, 所以 Martha 在那边服侍. Mary therefore took a pound of expensive ornament and made from pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of perfume. So Mary did this act. Now pay attention to what Judas did. Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, he who was about to betray him, said, why was this ornament or perfume not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? Is Judas right? We're looking at this passage because in Matthew 10, Matthew specifically, when he lists out the 12 disciples, 他特别在犹大的名字旁边写，就是卖耶稣的人。We want to get an insight into his life. Judas the spirit, 是不是对？因为这个就是我们常常的 spirit 啊，不是吗？你为什么要花这么多钱做这件事情 ？When you could take all the money and give it to the poor. Why would you need to buy a house so big when you can take the money and give it to children in Africa? Why do you need a new car? when you can take the money and drill a well in Africa? Why are you spending so much money on a church project when you can take the money and give it to the poor? Isn't this how we feel sometimes? When we look at other people spending, why are you spending that money on that thing? You see, Judas, as I study this, Judas has a spirit of poverty, whereas Martha had a spirit of pride and work. Busy, busy, busy. Whereas Judas had a spirit of poverty. Why are you doing that? Why can't you take that money and give it to the poor? Now, pay attention to why Judas said it. He said this not because he cared about the poor. He said this not because he cared about the poor, 不是因为他很关心穷人, but because he was a thief and having charge of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Now, Judas is actually a very impressive guy. If he had credentials, if we could see his credentials, we would be scared. Because, now, among the 12 disciples, 耶稣选了12个门徒 to keep really close to him. One of the disciples was Matthew. What did Matthew do? He was a tax collector. Now, back then, he was a chief tax collector. That is, he collected the tax from that entire city. He managed the entire city. He had to collect the tax and give it to the Roman. Now, he not only had the position, he had the authority to do it. Now, I bet if somebody who has that ability to manage the entire tax problem of collect the tax of the entire city, he was actually pretty up there with his finances. That is, he's able to manage pretty well, wouldn't you say? He had a lot of authority, right? So obviously, a person who has credentials, a person who has ability with money, you would want him to take care of your finances, right? 但是当耶稣选12个门徒的时候，还有犹大，还有马太，他不让马太做，为什么？ Something odd there. How come Jesus didn't ask Matthew to take care of all the financial problems, all the finances within the 12 disciples' travels? Isn't that interesting? Whereas Jesus allowed Judas to take care of the finances. Now, I'm just guessing, I could be wrong. I think there is something about Judas, that Judas might be pretty impressive with his credentials. Judas might be maybe even better than Matthew in terms of handling money. So he might be a pro at it. So Jesus actually told Judas to take care of the money. So Judas takes care of the money, every expenses, anybody who needs any money, we need to buy stuff for however many people, will take care of it. He was the treasurer of the 12. I bet he was a very impressive guy. I bet Matthew's going, how come Jesus didn't tell me to do it? How come Jesus told Judas to do it? But Judas, in his spirit of poverty, said to Mary, Mary, why are you spending that much money on this thing? Did you know what was Mary pouring out? That ornament that Mary poured out cost 300 denarii. Basically a year worth of wages. Now, the average household income of America, let's say 50K, okay? 50,000, okay? 5万块钱。他这一罐香水要5万块钱美金。一罐香水 ，OK， and I bet it's not the cheap stuff，OK， 那我个人不买香水 ，OK， 那也许这边有一些女生比较，OK， 那花5万块钱买一罐东西 ，OK，that's a lot of money，OK， try not to judge，OK，that's a lot of money，OK，by any standards, OK, maybe you make $5 million a year, that's different, OK, you buy whatever you want. I can't afford a $50,000 jar of perfume. Now, I bet it's not one of those cheap ones. It's not one of those you pour on, throughout the day it just dissipates, you can smell. I bet this stuff is really strong and really pungent. And I bet he poured on Jesus' feet that it smelled so good and it lasted so long. I bet even when Jesus was put in the tomb, people could smell it in the tomb. I bet that's how strong it is, right? $50,000 worth of perfume. Judas got mad. Hey, why don't you sell that and give it to the poor? But the Bible is so explicit about his motives, his spirit, 他的态度. He said this not because he cared about the poor. It's not. It's not really about the poor. It's just he doesn't want that kind of money spent that way, even though it's not his. because he was a thief. Having charge of the money back, sometimes he would steal from it. 其实这种态度我们常常有时都会有，不是吗？我们也没有给非洲的小孩太多钱，但是我们看到那个人花钱的时候，我们说为什么他不把那个钱给非洲的小孩 ？Right？ 我们也没有在 Hades 挖井，可是我们会想说，为什么他要买那么好的房子？为什么他不帮助非洲的小孩？我们自己也没有做那么多，可是我们常常指责这个人。哦，你看他又穿一件什么？哦，你看他的那个车子，哦，你看他的包包。But yet we're not doing much, and yet we have this judgmental attitude for everybody else and how they should spend their money. It's the spirit of poverty. Whereas Mary took this expensive stuff and gave it to Jesus. Now, what Mary had, can't get there, but what Mary had was a spirit of gratitude. We're going to focus on Mary's spirit, and we're going to focus on Judas' spirit. 只是 contrast 这两个人就好了。As I was studying this, I came across this story. It's a real person, by the way. This guy is pretty rich. His net worth is about $3 billion. Now, billion is, correct me if I'm wrong, a billion is 100 millions, I think. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. This guy's worth $3 billion. And each year, he gives away just last year alone, this guy gave away $370 million to ministry. Okay? Last year alone, not throughout his lifetime, last year alone, he gave away $370 million. Okay, thank you. I'm getting it wrong, I'm sorry. It's $370 million last year for ministry. Yeah. And so this guy, obviously very, very wealthy, wealthier than I would guess most of us combined. I know I have $1 billion wrong. Most of us combined, right? All of us gather our money into a bank, we will still not be as rich as this guy, right? So this guy obviously very, 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 very rich. And so he went to this conference where a lot of billionaires are around him. And so they talked about money and whatnot. And after they left, there's a pastor that walked with him, and he said, they're going to have dinner at his house. Now, this pastor is obviously very impressed and wanted to see this guy's house. And so while they're walking to his car, this billionaire actually apologized for his car. So I'm really sorry about my car. Getting my car, I'm really sorry. And so the pastor said, "Why are you sorry about your car? Is it a clunker? Is it a really poor, beat down car?" And the guy said, "No, I actually splurged last year. I bought a $130,000 car last year. It's a Mercedes. I'm really sorry about it." "Why are you sorry about it?" "Well, because when I bought that car, there are people sending me hate mails saying that I lost my way, that I spent too much money on a car, that I am not a Christian because I bought such an expensive car, and that I should have given the money to the poor." And so the pastor goes, "Why? Why are they sending you hate mail?" Well, he said, "Because that's too much money to spend on a car." So, what kind of cars can a Christian drive? I don't have $1 million, I don't have $1 billion for sure. But what kind of car can a Christian drive? Ask your neighbor what kind of car you think a Christian should drive. A model Christian's car. Go ahead and ask your neighbor, okay? I want to hear some answers. Go. We'll take like 30 seconds for this. Okay, what kind of car should a Christian drive? Anybody? A Toyota Camry? What kind of car should a Christian drive? A what? A limo. I did extensive research. The research shows a 1993 Toyota Camry. I'm just kidding. But you see, sometimes it's like being a Christian is really difficult. I mean, you gotta get to work, so you need a car that can actually take you to work, right? But it cannot be so fancy that you're gonna lose your salvation. So it's kind of a predicament, right? Like, I need to get to work, but it can't be too fancy. And so what kind of car should I think it's really proportions, right? It's really ratio. See, God is really smart. God is really smart. When He asks us to tithe, He says 10%. He deals with percentages. He does not say $500 or $10,000, right? He does not do that. He says percentages. So what kind of car should a Christian drive? It really has to do with percentages. Now, the $3 billion guy, I mean, buying a $130,000 car, for him, it's like you and I buying chicken. You see? It's that cheap for him, right? It's nothing to him, right? But for us, for me, to buy a $130,000 car, people go, are you sure? A $130,000 car, right? So, I really want to address this issue because Judas, as in Matthew 10, Matthew specifically points out he is the one who betrayed Jesus. And I really want to study Judas. And actually, it's a very interesting study these past few weeks as I study Judas. Okay, there's prosperity theology going around in churches, right? Get rich, and so in the church, especially conservative churches, we actually get away from prosperity theology so much we stop talking about money altogether, right? We stop talking about money altogether. We don't want to talk about money. It's really intimate. Don't ask me how much I make. We don't want to talk about money on pulpit. So we actually stay away so much from prosperity theology, we just stop talking about it. Now, for each adults and you're wealthy, and it's no problem, but why I really want to study this and why I really want to talk about this, 因为好多的大学生 that I encounter, because 他们是留学生，父母不在身边，或者是父母没有 support， 后来对钱的观念 is so scary. And my parents didn't teach me too much about money, and so I kind of had to figure it out. And I kind of had to start working and start figuring things out. And there are some months where I did not figure it out, and it was 超级惨的. There was months where I made a pretty good income, right? 我在 do grad school, so I worked pretty hard. And then there was months where I just looked up, and my money just, at the end of the month, my money was just gone. 几千块钱就没了. And I didn't know where it goes, and I started questioning, 是怎么了吗？是我掉了钱了吗？是有人来偷我的钱吗？ So what's going on? How come I just 几千块钱就没了? And so I started thinking, what does the Bible actually have to say about this? 因为我父母感觉没有 teach me too much, and we don't talk about it at church too much. And so the Gnosticism actually in the first century actually says that anything in the materialistic world is actually not so good. Okay, some people will go as far as to say it's evil. So our car is evil, our house is evil, our money is evil, and so stay away from all that. All that is good is the spirit, right? So jealousy and envy. So this actually kind of creeps in because we stop talking about money. 所以呢，至少我在看到在我们的 congregation, 还有 especially 大专跟高中的时候, we have this jealousy and envy issue. Now, jealousy and envy are actually different things as I study. Jealousy actually is, I want what you have. I can't have it, but I want what you have. Do you know what envy is? Envy is, I don't want you to have what you have. Jealousy is, I want what you have. Jealousy is, envy is, I don't want you to have what you have. Whether it be a car, house, money, whatever it is. And so we all struggle with jealousy and envy. We all do. 为什么他可以有这个？我没有。我希望他不要有这个东西，他不要有他的才能，他不要有他的钱，他不要有 whatever. Right? So, continuing on the passage, John 12, Jesus actually said to Judas, leave her alone, so that she may keep it for the days of my burial. For the poor you'll always have with you, but you will not always have me. So actually, Jesus said to Judas, let Mary do what she's doing. But $50,000, that's it? $50,000. Mary had the spirit of gratitude because what Jesus did for her family was tremendous. Actually, I would think Mary was doing this because previously Jesus raised his brother from the dead. Mary did this because previously Jesus has raised Lazarus from the dead. And so Mary is so grateful. Jesus, you changed my family's life. I want to pour out everything I have for you. I want to be like Mary, actually. So can we be like Mary? Can we be like Mary and just give away everything? Completely away, pour at Jesus' feet. I struggle with this. Sometimes when I was in seminary, I started making some money, I started saving some money, and nobody taught me this, but I actually had the spirit of poverty. Sometimes I feel like my bank account, I have a few $100s, I have a few $1,000s. Am I too rich? I better give it away. There's too much money in my bank account. I better give it away. And sometimes I actually do completely give it away. And then I start building my wealth again. I go, I have too much money. I mean, too much money, my standards and your standards are different, right? Some of us make $1 million a year, and it's different than me. I better give it away. And for some of us, we struggle with this, right? And so 有时候我看到 freeway 下来的时候，我看到有人在那边拿一个 sign， right？ 拿一个 sign， will work for food or lost my job, please help, God bless。然后我就 struggle， 我要把我皮包打开，然后把钱给他，不是把所有的钱给他。We all struggle with this, right？ 你看到他的时候，你好想要帮他。Should we do it? Everything in your bag, give it. What should we do? Actually, I think the Bible actually says it very clearly. I think the Bible actually has a plan. And actually, I studied it, and I think the Bible actually systematically teaches us what to do. Well, for one, with an example of 要不要给那个人钱，对不对？ I personally don't. You know why? Because 当我每次看到这个人在那边要钱的时候 I feel terrible. I feel terrible for him. Here I am driving my car. It's not a Toyota Camry, okay? I'm driving my car, and I feel like this guy has nothing. I have so much. Why can't I? And so sometimes I want to give. But you know, unless that's part of your plan of giving, don't do that. Like, Danny, don't tell me what to do. I wouldn't do it because it's not part of my plan. If it is part of your giving plan, good. 因为呢，很多时候我们想要给钱的时候 we want to give, right? But we don't really have a plan. We don't really have a plan on giving. 所以呢 immediately as we give to the person, we feel better about giving. But you actually don't have a plan. So it's like, okay, 接下来3个月、5个月我已经做好我的老师了，不用再做了。But actually, Jesus would tell us differently about giving. So what does God say about money? So the biblical view of wealth is, first is you got to take care of your household. 等一下我们再讲到一些 concrete 的东西。Take care of your household. Now, if your household cannot eat, it's not biblical for you to give. So 1 Timothy actually says this, if anyone does not provide for his relatives, especially the members of his household, 就是你的家里, your roof is being taken away, you can't pay your electric bills, you can't pay your water bills. If anybody who does not take care or provide for his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Is worse than an unbeliever. So a person who cannot take care of his house is actually worse than an unbeliever. So Jesus actually would not, by impulse, tell you to say, hey, give away everything you have, whereas you leave your wife, your children, or whatever, to starve. You have to take care of your health. For some of us, especially college students, we don't have a household right now. It's just me and mine, right? Where I just have to take care of me. But the thing is, we're not even doing a good job taking care of me and taking care of us. 尤其在大学生的时候，我看到好多大学生 living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes less than paycheck to paycheck, right? And it's a struggle all the time, and they feel like they want to give, they feel like they want to spend, and so paycheck to paycheck is actually very, very stressful for college students, right? And so God would actually say, you need to be able to take care of yourself and take care of it before you actually start giving away your money, right? If you can't pay your light bill, it's hard to make a case to give. So you got to take care of your household, and for some of us, you got to take care of you. Take care of your bills. And actually have a plan. Now, Jesus told this very interesting parable about the tower. Right? He says a person builds a tower, he starts building it, but he didn't actually break down how much it will cost, so he just started, and so he couldn't finish. 他说城里面人都出来，然后笑他说he couldn't finish. Actually, this actually happened to 我之前住了一个neighborhood, 那边 pretty expensive neighborhood, 然后那边有一个房子，他们那个人就真的把他那个房子全部拆掉 ，OK， 他就把他房子拆掉，然后开始盖，然后盖了3年、4年、5年都没有盖好，就是 like project in the middle 就 kind of stuck there， 然后每次经过说 What happened? 为什么他可以盖到一半 I think there was something wrong， 然后 neighborhood 有一些 rumors， 然后that guy couldn't finish. And when that happens, it's actually really scary. For some of us, especially college and graduate students, sometimes it's hard because it's very difficult when we run out of money and can't finish our education. And it's very, very difficult. And for some of us, we don't have a plan to take care of our household. And it becomes very, very struggle. Very, very struggle. So, I talked about my missing money and especially one of the things that I see so prevalent with at least the people that I work with in terms of money. And I know this is a very sensitive subject, debt. 我其实很喜欢骑脚踏车，然后 on my off days, I love to bike my road bike and I would just go around neighborhood. And 有一天呢，我就觉得很无聊，然后想说 ，OK, I always go the same trail. 那今天我就just be weird and I actually 我说 OK, 我可不可以呢？因为很无聊嘛，就是 go through my neighborhood every single street. I just go into every street and then go to the next street and then go to the next street and then go to the next street and just to see all the houses in my neighborhood. 然后很无聊 ，OK. 然后我就在骑，然后反正每次我休息天it's really nice, right? So I go through my neighborhood and I saw somebody moving and I went up and talked to them because I'm just weird, I guess. 然后看到他们 moving, 我说哦 ，where you guys are moving 然后呢，我就发现其中一个在班的人是我好像见过他，然后 he's a Persian guy, 然后我们是在一起读 high school actually. Okay, so it's been years since I've seen this guy, and so we talked and it's like, oh, it's been a long time since I've seen you. How are you? 他跟我年纪差不多，然后我们就开始在聊天。And so 我就说 oh, how come you're moving? 他说 well, because this is my parents' house. I'm actually back temporary because 我和我太太的 financial situation 没有办法再继续外面租房子，所以我 just back for our family 借我爸爸妈妈家住一下这样子。然后我就说oh, okay. 然后我们就开始 talk about finances. 然后obviously 他 married and whatnot. 然后他就说Andy, did you know credit card company ruined my life? I was like, what? How did they ruin your life? Now this guy is my age, right? This guy's my age. And in college, actually he got so much debt that his dad had to declare bankruptcy. And so he not only had credit card debt, he had school loans. And he couldn't pay for it. But he got married anyway. Now he's got a baby on the way. And he's got no place to live, and he's moving out of his parents' house, trying to find some place where their credit is back. And so we talked, and I got kind of sad. 他欠这么多钱，他什么都不能做，然后他 really struggle, and especially he's got a baby on the way. 我就好紧张。然后我说 I used to just think credit card money is free money, and I was just like, 我想说为什么会这样子？我为什么会这样子 ？And so 我就记得我常常去银行的时候啊 ，bankers would tell me, hey, you need to rotate a few credit cards around and swipe and have credit and have credit and have credit. 然后我就在想 how does this credit system compare to what the Bible actually says? 所以我就在想 the Bible actually said the borrower is slave to the lender. The borrower is slave to the lender. And so when we borrow up to our eyeballs, 的时候 we're actually slaves. Now for some of us, we're really wealthy. You don't have a problem borrowing at all. But for high school and college and graduate students, the people that I work with, sometimes we borrow up to the eyeball and it's really ruining their lives. The Bible actually would say, when you borrow, you're a slave. You're a slave. You're a slave, really. It really is. And you can't do stuff. You can't do stuff. And 我好几个朋友一起告诉我说 they're just struggling every single month. They're a slave and they can't pay off. I don't see it in the near future that I can pay off. So the Bible would say, try not to get away from debt. Get away from debt. I know 这边有很多人有 financial degree and whatnot. I know I'll say too much about this. Continues to say, the house of the wise stores up choice food and oils. 所以这个 spirit of poverty not only infects us so deeply that sometimes, especially with the people that I deal with, there is no idea of saving up. 所以很快的就变成我们 just spend everything that I have. The Bible would actually say the wise man would actually store up, and store up. But the fool actually, what does the fool do? Actually would just spend and devours everything he or she has. Everything. And so you actually end up paycheck to paycheck to paycheck and your life just struggles all the time. The Bible would actually say you need to change your family tree. Okay? Change your family tree. Now, for some of us, okay, 很快我 take a poll, okay? 你不需要举手，但是很快。这边有谁你父母帮你付 大学的 tuition 的 ，OK？Think real quick，OK？父母帮你付大学 tuition，kind of like give me a nod real quick，OK？所以父母没有帮你付大学 tuition，you had to pay for it yourself 的时候，稍微摇头一下，稍微摇头一下。Okay? Now, for some of us, 父母帮你付大学 tuition 的时候 that feels really good. 哇，父母帮你付大学 tuition. For some of us, 父母没有帮你付大学 tuition 的 and you're having to pay for it, you know that kind of struggle, right? You know that kind of struggle. It's actually a huge struggle, right? So we know how it feels to be blessed by our family. For some of us, we have tremendous blessings by our family. But for others of us, we did not have blessing by our family. But the Bible would actually say, you not only need to store up and plan for the future, actually there is a concept of changing your family tree. That is, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That is 2 generations. As we think sometimes we only look for the month and we only look towards this year, but God actually looks at generations. That actually God actually would encourage you to not only change your life, but actually change your children's life and for generations that you are changed. And so God actually has a plan for generations. And sometimes we only think about this year or this month. But actually God will say, look further. And so lastly, I'm gonna end here. Okay. Change the world for God's glory. Take care of your household, take care of you, and take care of your generations to come. Actually, it's very biblical. And lastly, to give like God is everything to you. It's so important. I'm gonna end with this, okay? Because God loves a cheerful giver. I saw this illustration and I was just so blessed by it. Sometimes we feel like Christians should be poor, but actually Christians should not be poor. God actually wants to bless us so much so that we are a blessing as God has called Abraham to do, right? So God actually says that 在诗篇里面讲说我们福杯满溢。What is God actually saying is God actually wants you to take care of you to the degree that you can completely take care of yourself, your descendants, and then God wants you to bless people to the degree that 你的福杯满溢。And I thought, what does that look like? God, what do you mean when you 说你要 bless me to the degree that 我的福杯满溢？ That God actually wants you to take care of it so much that when you live, it's actually kind of stuck. This will take a while. Oh, there we go. Okay. God actually wants you to live so much that you not only have enough for yourself, that you're oozing out. You're oozing out to the side. Okay, I hope I don't have to pay for the carpet cleaning. Okay. But you're oozing out to the side. God wants your life to look like that. And not a spirit of poverty. I know for some of us who love to drink wine, you're going, please stop! You're wasting it. Wow, that's a lot of wine. Now, for some of us, you're going, that's wine wasted. Okay, that's not a spirit of poverty. But for reals, God actually wants to bless us to take care of us immediately, to make us taking care of ourselves to home. God actually wants us to bless the church, people around us, poor people, to make all your finances go towards blessing the kingdom of God. And for college students, I know it's hard. Your debt is up to here. For some of us, you're in a very good financial position. You have no debt at all. Nothing. You don't owe anybody a penny. Imagine what you could do with that. Whether it be get out of debt or to change the world, will do. I would encourage you to ask God, God, what would you want me to do with my life right now? What is the one thing that I really have to focus on with my life so that I can one day be a blessing and overflow onto other people's lives? Let's pray together. Father God, we give you thanks. Father, would you teach us? Teach us how to walk forward. Father, I especially pray for those of us who are struggling financially, deep financial holes. Father, would you give us the courage to get up and to walk? Father, I ask that those of us who are struggling financially to pay bills every single month, Father, would you guide us? And would you give us job opportunities? Would you help us to work and see hope in the future? Father, I especially pray for those of us who are so afraid for the future because of debt. Father, once again, would you shine light into these families, into these people, into their lives so that they can once again have hope. Father, would you guide those of us? And Father, I ask that you would bless those of us who are really well off financially. Father, would you teach us how to be a blessing? Would you give us your plan on what we're supposed to do with the money you have called us to manage? Father, would you make us a blessing like you called Abraham to be a blessing, like you called David to be a blessing, like you called Solomon to be a blessing? Father, would you teach us these things? Father, once again, I ask that your Spirit will work among us and not the spirit of poverty. That is the spirit of gratitude. Father, would you come deeply into our hearts and teach us what we must do with our lives, with our finances, so that we can walk according to your ways. Father, help us, help us. Thank you, Lord. We pray all this in Jesus' name.